Hello, everybody. This is the third episode in Violynn Chats. I'm so glad to see everyone here tuning in live. I hope it's a great day, June 22nd, the year 2020. Depends on when you are watching this, whether you're watching it live or on the replay, wherever you are. Hi, I'm broadcasting live from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada. And for those of you who I know in real life, hi again. Hi, my friends. And if you don't know me, my name is Lynn Quo. People call me all sorts of nicknames. They call me Ling Ling. They call me Dr. Lynn. They call me Linja, Dr. Linja, all those fun names. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to say hi. Call me any one of those fun nicknames, and I will say hi back. And for me to see your name, you might need to go to StreamYard and give them permission so that I can address you and your hello and your questions by name. And yes, I know you're going to want to ask questions to my guest today because she is incredible. She's an incredible musician, incredible violinist, and a really fun person. And I'm really excited that she's also going to be a guest teaching artist in my summer violin boot camp. And that is starting very, very, very soon. There are very few spots left. However, you still have a chance to enroll if you act fast. You can definitely find the link in the description box below. You can find me on social media. Just hit me up in the DMs and I'll get you hooked up because you're not going to want to miss working with this next guest artist. And you also will get a chance to work with the two previous guests I had on Violynn Chats. They were Nathan Cole from the Los Angeles Philharmonic. And my previous episode just 2 days ago was with Jennifer Johnson, who is a violinist, and she is giving a special 2-hour body mapping workshop in my boot camp. And she teaches how to prevent injury and pain and how to play better on the instrument. With these guest artists, how can you not sign up for my boot camp? So if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and sign up also for the mailing list where you can be notified first of the next guests that I will be announcing in Violynn Chats. I have some surprises in store for you. You won't want to miss because we're going to be talking about overcoming performance anxiety. We're going to be talking about violins and fast cars. And we're going to be talking about in the next episode on July, when is it? July 8th, I believe. We're going to be talking about the 21st century musician, what it takes to survive in this quickly developing time. I have a mystery guest panel, and we're going to be discussing this topic. You can't miss this. Okay, now I would love to introduce this next guest. She and I have known each other and have been friends for a long time, since we were students in Toronto. She was the first violinist of the Cecilia String Quartet, which got first prize in the Banff International String Quartet competition. And now she is associate professor of violin in the University of Oklahoma. I mean, how lucky are they? And this is my wonderful guest, Dr. Min Jeong Koh. Hi, Min. How are you?
Hi, and I'm doing really well. And sorry, I'm distracted a little bit because my dog is also very excited. So he's moving around.
Can we see your dog? I want to see
so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, can we see your doggy?
Yeah, he's just moving around. I'll bring him up later.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you have a great Instagram feed. This is one of the first things I want to ask you about because I saw you started posting. I think you were shy to start posting before. And then once you started posting, I leaped right on it. And I could not believe all the lessons you were giving on the instrument. And they are incredible. For those of you who are already following, I think you know what I'm talking about. So I've learned so much from your posts about sound, about shifting, and all these technical things that you have you spent a lot of time writing out and explaining in all of your Instagram feeds. So I just want to know more about your daily regimen. Like, how do you keep up your technique? And then I also want to know when you've been playing in the string quartet and you won that competition and you had to start touring around the world, I want to know what you thought was the most important things to keep up in terms of keeping in shape for performance and on tour.
Okay, so that's a lot of things, and I hope I don't just ramble on because I can't talk about this forever. And of course, as you mentioned, yeah, the 100 days practice that I've been doing on Instagram has been But my main focus for this month, actually, because everything has been canceled, as you know, and we're all home. And I think actually this week I was supposed to be at Madeline Chamber Music, but I am home. And so, yeah, the challenge was actually more for my students. I was hoping for a way to keep them motivated during this very unusual and difficult time. And of course, as always, I end up learning so much by doing these things for my students. So I decided to do it along with them. And to be honest, it was really hard in the beginning. I actually deeply resented that I volunteered to do this challenge with them because it was actually just too much. The world was, the turn of events every day, the news is really overwhelming. But because I wanted this to be somewhat of a distraction and also a routine for them, that I decided to keep, a brave mama bear face on and sort of spearhead this challenge. And to be honest, maybe the videos seemed like I was really into practicing the violin and, figuring out new things, but I was having a really hard time because, this is at the March when we started this challenge. And then maybe the first 2 weeks or so, yeah, I think that was the most difficult. And then eventually it actually got better. And I was able to get into the routine of things, which was exactly what I had wished it would do for my students. And of course, now 92 days in, it has just become this part of my day where, I don't think about or I don't dread the fact that I have to go practice and post something on Insta just to, show that I'm still doing this with my students. I don't think about it just like I don't think about having to shower in the morning or brushing my teeth. I just do it. It's a part of me. Mm-hmm. And it's been, even though it's a self-inflicted challenge on so many levels, that has been really amazing. And I can actually see, even in my own playing, that I'm making discoveries that I wouldn't have otherwise, because I am scrutinizing my own playing, watching these videos over and over again, and, reflecting on what I think can be improved upon the next day. And so, if anyone is interested in doing this challenge, I would say it is painful, but a really wonderful journey of self-discovery and, endurance and all of those things. Mm-hmm. And your next question was about the life with the quartet and how I kept my technique and stuff like that on the road.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, what is the name of the specific challenge so that people can join you? Is it 100?
So I think initially Hilary Hahn started the challenge, and I think she was inspired by artists who were doing 100 days challenge of creating something. And so she turned that into hashtag 100 days of practice. And I think she documented her practice about 2 years ago. And I think in her experience, I think I read somewhere, she said that it's not so much that, you do it to become this great virtuoso. She didn't actually say it in those words, but she talked about how it really empowered people to be in charge of their own practice, which was, I think, just a beautiful byproduct of the challenge. And I think I absolutely feel the same way, and especially with recording. And I think I put up another post way before I started the challenge. The quartet made several CDs, and we did a lot of live broadcasts and stuff like that. And I was, I used to get very stressed about doing those things because now there you can, edit and do all those. But with the live broadcasts, you get one chance to perform, and they air it for, weeks or months or whatever it is. And your blemish that you're, not proud of is there forever. So I remember just being really stressed or even paralyzed by the thought of that, sort of saying in that open space. But I think doing this challenge every day and recording, pressing that red button, I think it actually has diminished that fear of making mistakes, playing out of tune and, not being able to get through the end, not being able to play fast enough. I think it doesn't matter because it's the process and how much I can see in my own playing that I find the most valuable.
I love what you just said, because I have been pushing myself to post as well on social media. And this, as you know, I'm building this into the bootcamp. And I know there are a few bootcampers already in watching this right now. If you are there, say hi holler out if you're in my boot camp, because you know that I'm going to be building this kind of overcoming fear. Like when the red light comes on, what are we going to sound like? And I'm building that inside of my boot camp. So I'm really happy that you're going to be part of this. Now, before we go to the next question, I just want to say hello to everyone and saying hi to both of us. Let's see. Who is here and where are you from? Hi, Eugene Burke. Hello. Hi, Kimani Trice. Hi, Papacha. Wow. Hi, Susanna. Hi, Heather Ensley. Are these some of your students? Victor.
Oh, live comments. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Hi, darling.
Oh, hi, Heather.
Here.
Yeah, Heather.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, Demetra. Demetra's from Greece. Yay. Sharon, hello. Oh my gosh, I love seeing hellos. I love it. No one called me a nickname though. Maybe that's a good thing. Okay, one mini question for you before I ask you more about quartet life. Okay, so if I joined you on the challenge, okay, if I wanted to, could I pretty please send in a video of me doing mental practice?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's a joke.
Oh, it was a joke? No, I actually think that mental practice is something that I wish I did more of, I think way back in the day, and it's something I do more of now.
Okay, now
but I realized that was a joke.
No, now I want to ask you, how do you mentally practice? I think this is going to be a really cool question for us to ask and talk about right now for everybody. How do you mentally practice?
Okay, this may be longer answer than what you'd hope for, but I used to practice all the time. I prioritize practicing over all else, and that means that everything suffered. That means there's not enough time for me to really live life as a person who gets to do lots of other things. So whenever I had a big concert coming up, I would only practice and just really let things slide, because I figured the more time I spend on my instrument, the more, prepared and content and mentally stable I will be for these concerts. And I did that for many, many years in the quartet, especially after we won Banff and we were really touring heavily. And then actually I had a terrible injury. I had a neck injury, and which really just put a halt in everything. And I had to reassess how I was practicing, but also how I was approaching things, and shifting my priorities around was, something I had to do quickly and without choice. And now that has completely changed. And actually, one of my students who was not here, I remember I was showing her how I streamline my own practice, and I showed her like all the things I would practice in a day that adds up to 55 minutes. And she was a freshman this past year, and she gasped in horror and said, "You only practice 55 minutes?" And I said to her, okay, this might be shocking to you, but in any given week during the school year, if I'm teaching a full load and I have to go play concerts in the weekend or go to a conference, go on recruitment trips, it's not sustainable or practical for me to practice 4 hours a day. But when I was her age, yeah, I totally practiced 4 hours a day. I practiced 6 hours a day. That's all I did, and that was my job, right?
Yeah.
But that kind of life is not sustainable.
No, it's not.
So that's where the mental practice comes in. And I do a lot more of that now. And I think that has also really conquered a lot of self-doubt that I had related to, and also unrelated to technique and, life and career and all this mounting pressures I had as I started to play more concerts and stuff like that. Yeah, mental practice is great.
So, okay, so then what exactly do you do in the mental practice? Are you imagining are you imagining the sounds? Are you imagining the physicality of it? Are you imagining, what exactly are you picturing?
Yeah.
And by the way, who likes the name of this subtitle, the name of the intro? Give me a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up here. Do you like the subtitle? Do you like it? Do you like it?
Yeah, Lynn Koh and Min Koh. Yeah, we can be like
so
rapping.
Oh, wait. Is this one better? Who likes that one? Give us a thumbs up if you like that one better. Okay, tell us what you do in the mental practice. I'm dying to know, because I have my own ways, and sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. I want to hear what you do.
Yeah, so I think, of course, it's always a process, and I'm sure I can practice in a way that's most efficient. But I think I try to actually jump straight to the moment I'm on stage,
Okay.
So imagining what it feels like to be on stage,
Okay.
even if it's for me, even if I'm discovering a piece for the first time, because
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden you can feel like all the hairs rise on your arm. You can hear yourself breathe differently. You can sense the audience being in the room. You can hear the rapturous applause or no applause. You can imagine all those things, and I think that puts me in a different headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't just play any note that I'm not proud of because I'm on stage, right? So I think that really, similarly to doing this practice challenge and recording myself daily, I don't dare play with a sound that I wouldn't on stage. So I think that helps me also daydream and not feel afraid to express the things that I would. Because I think I actually heard this from Dr. Greene, Don Greene,
Yeah,
who I know you've worked with before.
I did.
And this was some of the things that I did as a child, which probably wasn't all that great. But I think I always daydreamed of being on stage, even when I just practiced, just naturally. But what I did on
Really?
that didn't help was I would do what he calls doing heroics, right? So all of a sudden there was a big divide between being in the practice room and being on stage. And there's a little bit of that that will always happen because no matter what I do to recreate that space, it will never be the same as when you're actually in front of an audience of 2,000, right?
Very
So
true.
I think sometimes when I'm on stage and or with if I was when I was in the quartet, I would get really excited and play things faster or do try to go surprise them or do things like that. And those things are hard to do when you're by yourself. And but you try to as best as you can to imagine what it would be like if you could do that. So I think I try to prepare myself for those moments, so when it happens I sound spontaneous but I'm in control
Mm-hmm.
because I was able
I
to do my
do.
practice.
I mean, I do exactly the same things, but I do notice that as much as I try to, like as you said, as much as I try to imagine all of the variables, the real one, there's always a discrepancy between what I've imagined and what the real thing is. Even if you do already know the hall, even if you already know the number of people who are going to be sitting in the audience, there always is some kind of discrepancy. So there's also the element of introducing mock auditions in different settings. Do you do that too?
Yeah, practice in different rooms, different
Yeah,
corners.
and different.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've actually really told this story, but I once was preparing for an audition, and I was in my karate gi, and I had a black belt with the orchestra excerpt list in his hands, and I had a music stand, and I had some karate friends sitting on the floor outside the dojo, and I was playing mock audition for them, and this black belt was circling around me like a shark, and he was telling me, "Okay, Don Juan," and I would play Don Juan, and then 30 seconds in, he said, "Okay, no, next Schumann Scherzo." And he was walking around. So, you just never know. So I was trying to build in all sorts of foreign and scary situations anyway. But yeah, so mental practice I think definitely helps. But I think that no matter how hard we try, there's always going to be some kind of discrepancy. So I think the combination of mentally rehearsing what you can envision ahead of time, combined with accepting the fact that whatever situation you're going to be thrown into, it's going to feel different. And to accept the fact that you're going to feel a little bit unsettled regardless of how much you mentally prepared and physically prepared. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the things I sort of had to accept and actually really believe that it was going to be a different experience. And then I think that's when I began to be able to not just feel comfortable, but like thrive in that environment. Now it's lonely playing for myself. Like I'm dying to be playing in front of an audience. And maybe that's why when I first did a live stream,
You suddenly reminded me of my cute little nephew. He would put on sunscreen and said, "It's time to put on sunscreen."
That's adorable.
We're going to do live screams. Live
scream. It was such a bizarre experience, and I kept saying on camera that like I'm so nervous, and I used to get really nervous for concerts, but not in recent years because I feel like I've really conquered, the unknown and being able to really enjoy that. Because for me, what's normal is getting on stage and feeling the vibe of the audience. And I'm chatty, I love talking to them, I love connecting with them, like hearing things in the hall. So when I was doing the live stream, and staring at my iPhone, that was a new foreign element that I had never experienced before. And all of a sudden I felt like I was, going back in time. Before I conquered this beast, I was all of a sudden, scared again. And it was really bizarre to feel that after all these years. So, yeah.
That's so important, because I think I've said this, and I'm introducing this 21st century skill, playing for the red light, playing for the black camera, into my boot camp. I mean, I'm so glad you pointed that out, because this is the reality. I mean, pandemic will end soon enough, sooner or later. It's going to end. But the fact of the matter is, concerts have now changed. You've already done a live stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Live stream. You've done a live stream.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to play for a camera. But I think it's not just a few of us that need to know this. We all have to figure this out now. We have to add to our tool bag, our skill bag, how to perform for a live audience, as well as performing for a black hole, streaming to the internet, to the World Wide Web. I think this is a 21st century skill. And actually, it's going to be perfect for the next episode that I'm going to be launching in Violin Chats. I think it's just perfect. This is a skill. Okay, everyone who's watching and listening right now, tell me if I'm on the right track here. Is this not a skill that we have to? Thumbs up if you agree with me. And meanwhile, let's just see if there's any more questions or comments, because I want everyone to ask questions to Min. You have Min. You're so lucky to have Min right now, because she's an amazing resource. You have to start asking her questions. Shuhashini, sometimes it feels like a live scream. Yes. Hi, Sydney.
I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see questions or comments? Hi, Caitlyn.
Oh, sometimes it feels like a live scream.
Hi, Cam. Hi, Caitlyn. Hi, Edwin. Hi, Jocelyn. Jocelyn's a boot camper. Susanna's a boot camper. How many boot campers do we have here? Give me a holler if you're in the boot camp. Okay. All right. Now, I want to ask you about quartet, because I'm dying to know about all this stuff about Cecilia String Quartet, how it all started, how long you were playing in it, how the competition went. I'm going to ask you so many questions now, and I know you can, you can deliver. So tell me all about it. How was it? And how was the schedule? How was trying to fit in practicing? What did you have to do to maintain your chops? Tell me everything.
Yeah, and so actually, this is that's a great question, and I'll tie it into what you asked before about technique and mental practice and all these things, because I think in the quartet, I really was able to overcome so many fears, but number one being just fear of playing out of tune, and the fear of finding technique because I think, well, of course, the violin is very difficult. Yes, it will be forever. And I think I remember Adrian said he was hosting a talk and he asked an 8-year-old what he thought was the hardest instrument in the world, and of course he said the violin.
Just one second. So to those of us who don't know Adrian, you have to introduce us to Adrian. Explain to us who Adrian is.
Oh, Adrian. Oh, that's another long story. But Adrian actually, well, he's my husband, but we met when we were in Toronto Symphony Youth Orchestra. So that was back in 1996. Makes me feel so dated. And he also played in a string quartet, the opera string quartet, the Canadian string quartet. And we connected at an international competition in Osaka.
Okay.
Yeah, and he runs a music festival out in Vancouver called Music in the Morning.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually next week we were supposed to be going for a summer festival, but of course no, we're here. But it's okay. I picked up gardening. So if anyone has gardening tips, feel free to.
Okay, slap your gardening tips right now into the comments. Okay, sorry. I just had to make sure that everyone was on the same page. Who's Adrian?
Oh, right.
Who's Adrian? Right. Okay. All right. Quartet. Adrian.
Yes. Oh, quartet. And going back to what I was saying about how hard the violin is, and I think it was so funny because the quartet, when I first joined, and this was sort of like, I think what I sort of my expectations of myself when I was younger. I remember being in high school, someone that I didn't know very well came up to me and said, you should really consider playing the viola because you'll have a much better chance of, winning a job or playing with people that are better than you. And I remember sort of thinking, oh yeah, that is, sound advice. But at the time, like I was probably in my early teens and I didn't think too much of it. And I just left it at that. And I think my parents never put too much pressure on me. I never put too much pressure on myself. So if things were actually just fun. And then I joined the quartet again for fun. And once when things started happening really well, like the little milestones that I had set for myself to go, they ended up going really well. I think I start to feel a lot of pressure to play well, pressure to play in tune, and all of these things were just coming down like a dark cloud, which was so funny because you think that on the outside, wow, I'm going around and playing concerts with my friends and making CDs and, doing broadcasts and stuff. And another point, you just, yeah, it was just too much to bear. And also day after day and for years and stuff. And then, so I think going back to mental practice, I decided to tell myself that the violin is not that hard. I had to, because the more I told myself that it's hard and it was in this pedestal, that it was almost like this unattainable quest that I put myself on.
Okay.
And everything that I did to get there seemed just so arduous. And then and I say this to my students too. I mean, this is not my violin, but I will hold it up and say, look how short the fingerboard is. It can't be that hard. And the more I said that out loud, I started to actually believe it. And really helped with just overcoming that mental block of, shifting or playing anything. It's just I feel like it actually really unleashed my wing, and I was able to just like go forward without anything holding me back. And then from then I was able to actually play without a lot of fear, because I didn't have myself telling myself constantly that it was so hard and you can't do it. And you can only do a lot of work and you have to sacrifice your whole life. There's a lot of stuff up there.
A lot of stuff.
I think the mental game of it is really, I think, what makes a big difference in the end, because we all work hard, we all can put in the hours, and we all study with great people and have same resources. But I think in the end, you can be your biggest advocate or you can be your biggest enemy that way, creating these mental hurdles that make it so hard for you to be able to play at your full potential.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so to everyone listening live and to the replay, I want all to mentally bookmark this part of the video. Wasn't that mind-blowing? I think this is incredible. I think it's incredible, Min. Like, for example, you just basically summarized what I spent a summer working with Dr. Greene. He coached me on all about positive mindset, winning mindset. And I read sports psychology books, and it tries to instill, you have to refocus your brain so that it is trained only to see the positive. And I went from being quite a negative person, actually. I was accused of being negative. And then all of a sudden, now people are accusing me of being extremely, almost annoyingly positive. Hey, if it means I'm going to do better on the violin, I'll be annoying. I don't mind. But you just said it so much more beautifully. I love it. You just saying, this is just a short little fingerboard. It's true. When I think about a cello fingerboard, that one's going to be a bit more intimidating for me. But you're right. It is just a little tiny little fingerboard. I mean, okay, so please tell me if you loved what Min just said. I think it was beautiful. Okay, sorry.
It's so funny you say that, Lynn, because I always equate you to being someone who is so positive and supportive with your colleagues. I mean, you were always, so wonderful as a friend and a colleague. And I mean, you were like that with your students, and whether it be practicing the violin or learning martial arts. I mean, I used to run into you at the gym. Used to go to the same Pilates studio. And I always really liked that. I thought that was so admirable on so many levels and very important for young people to see, because you had a very healthy balance of things while being extremely devoted to.
Oh my gosh! Now you're triggering all these memories. Like how many old memories are we gonna dredge up for our listeners here from our past?
I know.
Like we've known
you don't age.
Oh my gosh! Okay, let's just take a look here. Denise. Hi, Denise. Hello. Thank you for this lecture. I agree with what you just said, that we have a new tool to master live streaming. Right? Am I right? Suhashini, worm castings. That's the gardening tip. Thanks, Suhashini. Suhashini is a wonderful, wonderful violinist. Meg.
Mhm.
Okay. Hi, Meg. Maybe you're going to get to this, but I'd love to hear how you practice intonation. Yes. And Valerie, so interesting. Yes. Sydney, you loved it. Great. Okay. Let's address the intonation. I would love to hear this too. And then we're going into quartet. I'm going to dig into quartet life. Okay.
Yeah, intonation. Yeah, actually, that's something that we practice a lot in the quartet.
Okay.
With us being drones for each other. I mean, when you're in the quartet, it's wonderful and also very challenging because you have 3 teachers, and I'm sure we all feel like that, right? But also your standards are so much higher for yourself because you don't want to let them down. So I practiced a lot with them holding drones for me, and I also practiced by myself a lot with the drone, and just retraining my ear because it's one of
the pause for a second. I hate interrupting, but this is worth bookmarking, everybody. Pause to hear intonation with a drone. I'm not just crazy when I say that to my students, right, Min?
Yeah.
Drone.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. This is not something I came up with. Apparently it's a Joel Smirnoff thing. Apparently he said that intonation is like water. It's you can't like hold it forever, and it's not one of those things that people are just born with great intonation and other people are plagued with, I don't know, really bad sense of pitch. It's something that if you put in the honest work and you just allow your ear to like listen for the right things, that it will know and be addicted to hearing those kind of resonances in your instrument. And I think it really it sounds kind of like out there. I think when I first started practicing with the drone, I disliked it intensely, especially the mechanical sound of the metronome. Who likes that? So, and I used to love it when Rachel or Becky will hold down the row for me, because that is so beautiful, because you can hear all the instruments ringing together, and then you get addicted to that, and then you never want to play out of tune again.
I love that word you use, addicted. Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I think actually really helps with intonation is listening to really, really good singers. Because if you think about it, singers, really, really good ones, to what we consider to be in tune, they don't sing that way. They sing like towards a note. They will go just a bit underneath, a little bit around, and they have ways of being so expressive with the note that I think it trains your ear to hear not just notes as a separate like object, but where it's all like put on a beautiful strand of a necklace and they're all connected. So I think when I think of it, like just notes as separate entities, it's very stressful. But if I try to remember how Joyce Donato explains how to get from one note to another, I think I'm trying to remember like that sound she gets right before she lands on the note. And that actually not only helps my pitch, but it helps me shift more securely and confidently. So I think listening to, I would highly recommend whoever's on here watching Joyce Donato teach online.
Okay.
That, has helped.
Wow. So are you saying you consider pitches to be relational, right? In terms of what they mean inside of a melody, a fragment of a phrase, how they relate to each other, and how they I like to call it. I was just teaching a lesson. I think was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. I was talking about the polarity of, let's say, a leading tone going up to a tonic. Because I mean, let's say a C sharp to a D, for example. I think this was the precise example that happened. Hello, holler if you know what I'm talking about. I know you're in this chat. So the C sharp, when we play it melodically, I mean, I'm sure a singer would make sure that it really has a polar pull up to that D. But I mean, if we're tuning it right to the A, then in like, as you know, as a quartet musician, you know you're going to have to put that C sharp somewhere low, right? Now, could I ask you now, how many? Okay, so you've dedicated rehearsals to quartet intonation. But I'm really, really curious, because I have not spent more than a decade in a professional string ensemble like you have. How many times did it break down and you arguing over pitch or whatever? I'm really curious. Like, okay, this is kind of where I wanted to go. I want to know how many fights you got into, because I know it happens, right? A quartet is like a marriage between 4 people. I know for a fact, even though I have not been in a quartet, I've been in an orchestra for, believe it or not, this is my 20th year. But I know that a quartet is like a marriage. And I know that marriages don't go without their squabbles. Tell me, what was it like with a marriage of 4 people?
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a marriage or a friendship or any, I would say, long-term or intense relationship is bound to have some sort of conflict, right? Like no relationship is immune to that.
Yeah.
And it definitely, ebbs and flows. And I think, yeah, I mean, definitely, we would definitely argue about pitch. I mean, quartet drama in general, I think as a theme is very popular, right? There's like books written about it, there are movies, and so yeah, whether it's pitch or non-musical things, yeah, there's definitely arguments about that. And I think actually I've noticed this more after I've done really intense practice of playing with the drone and playing with someone else and listening to people, that quartet players have different intonation than soloists, for example. How sharp one would play or what they consider to be their priorities. Because when you play in a quartet, you have to play in tune with someone else's open string, and that is the law, right? And I mean, we would joke, it was mostly Rachel, and she would just go like this, meaning, I'm playing open strings. I am the law, and she would just say,
I'm right, open string.
Yeah.
Over here.
I mean, she did that as a joke, but it is absolutely true that, you just have to tune to them. And I knew my tendencies as a violinist. I would always, get sharper and sharper and sharper. And yeah. And there were some disagreements, but going back to the practice challenge, I knew that the second I listened back on a tape, I knew that it was sharp. So if they said, you're playing a little bit sharp on your high note, even though it hurts your ego, you have to step back and say, okay, I don't want to sound sharp constantly on our CD, which is going to be there forever. So yeah, I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, let me just pause to see what people are saying here. Let's see. Min, are there any specific singers you listen to? Well, you mentioned Joyce.
Yeah, I think Joyce Donato is just such an amazing teacher. And of course, I mean, she's a beautiful singer. There's something about her, or maybe this is how I naturally gravitate towards people that are like this. She is, as you know, incredibly successful, but she's so humble. And the type of things that she teaches in her classes, I think you're able to see, who she is as a person. And I think it's really inspiring because at the end of the day, of course, I teach violin repertoire and chamber music. But at the end of the day, I just want all of my students to have, life skills that's going to enable them to be the best human beings that they can be, not necessarily the best violinists. Of course, that is an added bonus, right? So I think Joyce, yeah, and just the way she teaches as well, she really knows how to bring out the best qualities of those people. And I know she doesn't work with them regularly, so I think it's also fascinating to see someone who can bring that out in a student in just half an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, really inspiring.
I love how you mentioned humility, because we can be such, divas, I guess we could say. We can become divas and get absorbed into whatever we're spinning ourselves into, whatever personas we want to build online. And that's what I love about you as a person, because I think you do have this sense of, you're real, you're down to earth, and you're humble. And it's just so funny because you think of the first violinists of a quartet, you think, oh, they're the ones that are, the uppity ones and stuff. So I actually, what's really interesting, I would like, because I don't hear your side of the story. That's the thing, right? How do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know? So you know what? I got someone here. You ready? She's going to corroborate or refute what you just said. Welcome, my surprise guest, the violist in your Cecilia String Quartet. Hi, Caitlyn Boyle.
I am the violist crashing this violin party, and I'm here to tell you all the truth. I'm here to tell you about all our fights, all our troubles.
What fights?
Okay, Caitlyn, spill the tea.
Um, well, I was thinking hard. I was thinking a lot about it, and I can't. I think one thing about our group actually was that we possibly didn't fight enough. I
Interesting.
think we were kind of like a group that was very very
Civil.
yeah, very civil to each other and
I
very
believe that.
I think like which I think did help in some ways, but I think we could have used a few more fights in there, like really.
Why do you say this? I'm curious, Caitlin. Why do you say this?
Well, I think it's because like what Min was saying, in any good relationship, I think you have to totally feel free to be yourself. And like also as artists, like you really need to like dig down deep and be able to like express your like even like bad feelings. And I think sometimes we like kind of covered those up a little bit. But there were like a few moments of tension for sure in there. And like actually speaking about intonation, I thought it was like one thing that I think we often struggled with was like, you guys kind of got into it, but like the vertical intonation versus the horizontal intonation. So like me, Rachel, and Sarah would kind of be doing our like tuning the chord thing, and then Min's like, how am I supposed to play that C sharp like where I want to be playing it and like fit with you guys? So she kind of like take time out. She's like, okay, you guys just do your thing, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna do my melodic thing like later. So,
Oh my God. Is that like arguing how to load the dishwasher?
yeah, I guess.
No,
I guess a little bit.
you gotta do it this way. This is the only way to load the dishwasher. Oh my God.
Caitlin, were you here the whole time?
I was, and I've learned so much about you, Min. I love this conversation so much, and also about your own personal experience, like over the quartet years. Like, I was like, whoa! I was like, some of the stuff I knew, I was like,
yeah.
I knew.
That also reminds me of a marriage. Sometimes you get spouses on these couple game shows and stuff. You have to remember these games where you say, name your spouse's favorite color, and the other go, blue. Is this like this? Caitlin, I didn't know that about you, Min.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. For sure.
Wait, how many years did you play together? Please tell our audience how many years you played together as a quartet.
Well, I was in the quartet for 10 years. But Caitlin, you were in it longer.
Yes, I joined 1 year before Min, and then I lasted 1 more year after Min.
So cool, right? This is amazing to have the longevity of that. Is really amazing, and I just love how I still sense a beautiful relationship between you. Like the energy between you, I still sense it. To me, that tells me that the quartet was just a well, I know it was. I've seen you perform. It was a powerhouse on stage, and I can sense that same energy right now, even while you're on camera in different cities, right? I mean, Caitlin, you're in Toronto, right?
In Hamilton.
Oh yes, in Hamilton. That's right. So, and we're all in different countries, different cities, but the spark is still there. I mean, I hazard a guess to say that if you got you back together in the room, the music is going to be fantastic. The music will be amazing, right? Okay, guys. Yep. Who loves this surprise? Give me a heart. Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, it totally feels like a dating show.
Okay, Min, what was your favorite color?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh no, Lynn, you said you were going to ask about favorite pieces.
Oh, okay. Are we going to talk about favorite pieces? Who wants to talk about that?
Min,
favorite pieces?
Well, I actually wanted to tell Min that because I used to say that Hindemith quartets are my favorite. And I'm going to switch it back to Beethoven. Because they were all like, what? How can you not love Beethoven the best when you play
quartets? Wow.
So that's what I'm here to tell Min. So, but I actually don't know what her current favorite quartet piece is.
Caitlin was dying to be on Violynn Chats because that's what she wanted to say.
Right.
I mean, I always, you try not to have regrets in life. And I think one of the biggest regrets that I just can't seem to bury is that I always shut down every year you brought it up.
Ah.
Shut
And
down.
it wasn't just me, right? It was like a majority rule kind of thing. But no, I mean, I'm playing viola more now, and I do like Hindemith. And I think as a violist, you have to like Hindemith, right? Okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
incredible writer for viola, and yeah, he has a lot of like power and like energy to his writing.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm kind of like really drawn to.
I find his writing
And actually,
more
I have to.
masculine.
Pardon?
I find Hindemith composition style is more masculine, don't you think?
Yeah,
Much more masculine.
totally. And then that would have been good for our quartet too, because we were always accused of being very feminine.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Actually, I forgot this. Sorry, well, go ahead, Lynn. Were you going to say something?
No, I want to hear why Cecilia Quartet was accused of being too feminine. I want to hear this.
Oh no, I will hold my thought. It wasn't that, but you go ahead, Caitlyn. Do you know the reason?
Dude, oh, well, I mean, I feel everyone's always like, oh, you guys play so softly and so elegantly and beautifully. So we actually kind of made it our mission to be like, we play like with more like, I don't know. So now we're kind of getting into gender stereotypes, which I don't think might be a little bit dangerous.
I don't agree that it's a stereotype to be a gender stereotype. I think there's definitely masculine and feminine spectrum. There's nothing wrong with saying that for sure, right?
Yeah, for sure. But so I think, yeah, we were always kind of fighting for like bigger sound and like, yeah, like the energy, like the higher energy stuff to be like more overwhelming the audience than, because I think we were really good at like drawing in the intimate thing. So
that makes sense. That makes sense. I think we have a question. Let's see. Neil. Hey, Neil. A question for Min and Caitlyn. How about your least favorite piece to play? And mentally, how did you approach it for success? Very nice question, Neil.
I'll let Caitlyn answer that.
Oh, my least favorite piece to play. Okay. The first thing that comes into my mind is Mozart. Yes.
Least favorite.
Pardon?
Least favorite, Mozart.
Yeah, like I think the one that I remember is the 590. So his last, like of his 10 like celebrated last quartets, it was the last one. It was just somehow like so hard. You know, it's the precision thing, like Mozart, and the clarity. And then like I think actually being able to like make a story out of it and lift it off the page. I feel like as a group, we always felt a lot more comfortable with Haydn string quartet somehow, like the rhetoric and the jokes and the earthiness of Haydn somehow I found easier.
He was a bit more on the fun, raunchy side.
Totally. But like ways that I tried to get into it more as like I remember in the second movement I tried to like analyze the whole thing, like to really get into the harmonic structure of it, because it is so beautiful, some of it. And we used to do that thing too where we did the fake ending where we tried to trick the audience, but I think that was in 387. Yeah. And we always we also always use like short like we always use the numbers to name the pieces.
Yes.
And it's always kind of a short, like they're not even actually, I'm not actually even sure.
It sounds like secret agent code.
Yeah.
007, 387, 590.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Yeah. Do we have any more questions for these awesome musicians? Type them in. And if you're enjoying this chat, I know I am, please hit like, hit subscribe, because you know there are more coming down the road. I will remind you that I have one coming on July 8th. And again, it's going to be really interesting, especially for musicians who are kind of floating around in this lost pandemic changing world. The next episode is called The 21st Musician. And in that episode, I really want to dig deep on what it takes to survive. If you love being a musician, but you're not quite sure how to make it work, you can't miss the next episode. So please get on my mailing list and I will reveal the mystery guests because they're going to be really, really knowledgeable. And then after that, I also have a person who's going to be extremely insightful about conquering the stage performance anxiety. And then afterwards, the guest after that will be about fast cars and the violin. Oh, can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
So, no questions coming in? Really? Okay. So that means I get to ask a question. What were your favorite cities and your least favorite cities to travel to when you were touring? And wait, tell us like the most embarrassing Cecilia Quartet story. Did I ask you too many questions?
Okay, yeah. What's the most embarrassing one, man?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many.
My pimples in the video. My pimples in the video.
Yeah, maybe that's for me. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, there's so many hilarious moments. I mean, I think I like touring in Europe a lot.
Okay.
And it's so funny how the group dynamic changed every time we crossed the Atlantic because Caitlyn speaks German, whereas I do not. So we would go to Germany for weeks and I would be just following Caitlyn around like a puppy, asking where should we go now? And, Caitlyn would tell us where to go. And it was super fun. Just touring, drinking a lot of beer.
Yeah, I think like one of my favorite parts about the tours is that we always had drink o'clock. Like that was kind of like our social hour.
Okay.
But I think that was actually really important, like because it like touring is it can be hard, like it's physically and mentally exhausting, and yeah, it's good if you have like just a time to have fun and like connect on like I mean sometimes it can turn into work stuff, but we did like try to connect on a fun level kind of and yeah, I think going to Europe also was my favorite. Min, somehow like the vibe, like they just love classical music there. And I think like what Min was saying also about audience, like feeling the vibe of the audience and stuff, we could really sense it. And it's the food was always so great. Like Min used to have like a yogurt drink purse. Like
purse? Oh yeah. Yogurt drink purse? What?
Yes.
I love yogurt so much that I would buy like the big cartons and carry it around, and they made fun of me saying that's your yogurt purse. It was really cool.
Yeah, she would leave her purse in her like hotel room, and she would only be having this like
yogurt drink.
Yeah. I agree with the European audiences feeling different. I mean, I've done my fair share of touring, and it is hard hitting the trains, hitting the planes. Oh, I know, like, but the audiences make up for all the fatigue, right, on the road. It's just you feel how much they appreciate every single note that comes out of what you're playing on stage, and you know that even if you venture into more contemporary or adventurous repertoire, they're still hanging on to everything that comes out from your bow. Did you find that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I've noticed.
Another funny thing that I realized about German audiences is that like in Canada, you're used to kind of like getting a standing ovation right away.
Okay.
But in Germany, we often wouldn't get a standing ovation, but we would come back like 5 times.
I know.
They were just in their seats, like giving the appreciation like in a much longer way. So like
not in a hurry to go home.
Oh okay, so now I have a request for everyone watching live and on the replay. Let's all give them a standing ovation right now. A standing ovation. Okay, let's see. We got some more questions. Oh, look, Dai is here. Dai is my salsa dancing friend. Hi, Dai. He's here. Oh, Erica's. Okay. All right. So let's get to Erica's question. Hers came in first. Erica's. Did you have any favorite rehearsal techniques? Oh, we have very little time left, so let me zoom through the other questions. For Min and Caitlyn, do you prefer playing more technical pieces or more accessible to the audience pieces? Do you ever feel pressured to make this trade-off? I love that question. Suhashini, I loved this chat. Tons of invaluable info and great fun as well. So good to see you all. Must run. Bye, Sydney. We'll catch the rest after teaching. Hi, Sydney. Thank you. Okay, so two major questions from Erica. Did you have any favorite rehearsal techniques? And then do you prefer playing more technical pieces versus more accessible pieces?
Caitlyn, that's your specialty.
Oh, which one? The rehearsal techniques?
I guess.
But I'm pulling a total blank, Min.
Uh-oh.
Well, I was gonna say that Caitlyn actually, for her doctoral thesis, studied dozens of quartets around the world and how they not just rehearse, but how their relationship changes, like on stage, through nonverbal communication. And so I thought maybe you wanted to answer what our favorite rehearsal technique was. But I should have done a bit more research on rehearsal techniques there. I think we did a lot of, like, when I was trying to think back, I think we did like a lot of slow practice that really, I think one interesting thing about like being in a quartet is that you kind of develop a language, but you don't even actually know how you develop it like over time. So I think just the ability to be able to kind of, like communicate so well and so easily with the others after building. But yeah, it was like a long, like, I remember too that Min, you really liked having a schedule, and so she was the one who got us to rehearse 10 to 2 every day. So like, we would put the quartet work in first from 10 to 2 every day, and then like be free to like practice or like do other things in our life and stuff like that. But was there like a really fun rehearsal game that we played? Well, I think there were several, but I think quartet was when we were able to just enjoy rehearsing, which wasn't actually that often because I felt like we're always like running to go somewhere, we're doing stuff. But in the summer, we would usually have a week or two where we can actually just meet and practice. And it was really a rare, but a time for us to actually discover things together. And I thought that's when we were the most creative and fulfilled, because people would come in with suggestions and we would just try it, even if it's really ridiculous. So I would ask Rachel and Caitlyn to switch seats and, do things like that. And, we were going to turn away from each other. And just when we were, trying everybody's really wacky idea, I thought that was, when we were.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You got it. And there's another time, and then you reminded me that there's another time when we were trying to like get our rhythm like as a group better. So we tried like holding hands, and we tried like slapping, like clapping, and it was so interesting because when you actually just realize that the every person kind of, it's probably a lot like dancing, Lynn. Every person moves in such a different way. So then we would try to mimic the other person. And I think we also, I guess this goes into the gestures, like body movement, like nonverbal communication skills. Like we tried to sway also.
Yes.
We used the metronome like a lot. And I think we were trying to find a way to like create rhythm without having that metronome on. Although it was so hilarious. Do you remember that time in Banff, Min, when pardon?
Where?
In Banff. So we were studying for 3 weeks at the chamber music, and a student heard us. We were playing a Beethoven quartet. We practiced with the metronome, goosh, 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 like every day, all the time. And then we played a performance of it, and the student came up to us after, and they're like, "It didn't sound rhythmical at all. But all I heard you guys do was practice with the metronome." And so I remember like, is that a compliment? I was like,
the trade.
Yeah.
That is
so hard, right?
Truth bomb right now. That's another great tip. So practice with metronome so that when it comes to performance, you won't sound like a robot. You're just going to sound phenomenal. That's basically what you're trying to say, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Lynn.
That's what I'm getting. And I love what you just said about like everyone moves differently. It's like dance. I mean, Di, my friend here, he and I have been salsa dancing partners. He knows precisely what you just said, that when we hit the social dance floor, everyone hears the music. We're dancing to the same song, but we move differently. We respond differently. So that's interesting. So 4 of you in a quartet, you are all going to play a certain beat and rhythm and inflect your own personalities. So to marry, like I said, we're going to marry the 4 of you together. See if you can load the dishwasher the same way so that you're not pissed off at each other.
Bumping it, yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing feat to be together. Okay, so can we actually address Dai's brilliant question about how do you basically reconcile technical pieces versus more accessible audience pieces? And do you ever feel pressured to make that trade-off? Because I really like this question.
Min.
Well, truth be told, so this is a really long answer, but I think in so many ways we played like the repertoire we thought we would want to play in any given year, and it never stayed that way, because we would have requests from composers who are were hoping for feedback, and we had composers at the University of Toronto that we were working with are writing music for us all the time. So the amount of music we carried in a season was very, very large. So it's not possible for us to only play the music, for example, like late Beethoven courses that I would want to program. But that's okay, because even though I was the one that was really advocating for that kind of programming, I really wish that we played some Hindemith, because I actually played Hindemith last year, and I remember sitting there feeling really sad that I didn't experience that with you guys, because it's an incredible. And and knowing that, I think all of us try to be really open about whatever we had to program, and whether it was a request from a presenter or somebody within the quartet or whoever, that I think we really had a wide range of pieces, and it's not possible for us to say this was our favorite, because there's 4 of us, and even for one person our preferences or our tendency, it just changes over time. So I think, for example, like when we started learning the Barrack lyrics suite, which we recorded for one of our CDs, that was a piece I was not that into in the beginning. I remember Sarah and I were sitting there trying to score study, and we both looked at each other kind of like, did it end? Because
you can't follow the third movement. Like,
right. And I was sitting there feeling very inadequate, like wondering if how can I not even know where this ended? And Sarah, being Sarah, she's super fun. She said, "Yeah, I didn't know either." And we're both sort of like being really confused. We went from that to wanting to record this piece because we felt that we knew it, on a level where we really not just, resonated, the piece resonated with us, but we felt like we understood like all the code words that was embedded, and we felt like we could champion something like that. But I guess, most of the audience don't know that was something we were deathly afraid of in the beginning, and something that we at that time would have never considered playing. So I don't know.
That's an interesting, a fascinating answer. I love it. I love it. Now I want to be mindful of everyone's time, because we could talk forever, right? But
I gotta practice.
I know. I gotta go practice myself.
Your video.
So I want to thank you so much, both of you, Caitlyn and Min. And please, if you enjoyed it out there, if you enjoyed this talk, I know I did. I loved it. You guys are amazing. Please give this thumbs up. Please share it, because it was a fun conversation, was it not? Tell us in the comments if you had a good time. I did. You did. Please tell us, and thumbs up and heart, and show us some thumb love. Get those thumbs going. Go, 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 thumbs.
Thumb
so
love.
Don't forget, you can connect with these lovely ladies on social media. Where can we follow you? Min, tell us where to follow you.
Oh, I'm on Instagram.
Yep. So MinJeongkoh1. I think I have your website. Boom. There you go.
That nice.
Okay, you can find Min there. And you can find her in my summer violin boot camp. Okay, if you're one of the lucky ones, you will get to work with her directly. Caitlyn, where can we find you?
I'm working on it. I have to get an Instagram account, because I want to see everyone's practice. Min's really inspired me, and you too, Lynn, with the practice challenge thing. So I want to check out your accounts. So coming soon.
We can't wait. All right. Well, thank you, both of you. And thank you to everyone who's watching live and afterwards. So don't be a stranger. Come see the next Violin Chat. You know us now. We're all fun and games here. It's going to be fun and games for the next one, too. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.